Jaylen Brown, boy, he was spectacular last night. He was getting involved. He was getting his teammates involved. Derek White had 23 last night.
Yeah, 3-ball was going down for the Celtics in this game. Great ball movement, great offensive rebounding in this first half.
But most of it, Jay Will, was about Jaylen Brown.
He was just aggressive. And look, this is what you like. Fire and ice. Jason Tatum is ice. Jaylen Brown is the fire for this team.
20-0 Celtic run gives them a 12-point lead, but Pascal Siakam single-handedly keeping him in the game.
Well, look, Al Horford was guarding Pascal Siakam. They kept going to him, and when you put a smaller player on him,
that's when
he gets the chance to go against Drew Holiday.
Siakam had 16 points in the first half. It's a 6-point game at the half, and then Allen, here's Siakam. The Pacers are within 2.
Yeah, every time it looked like the Celtics were going to take over, Pascal Siakam said, "No, you're not. We're staying in this thing."
And then this happened.
Ouch.
Just Tyrese Halliburton, a postseason that has been highlighted by so many injuries or low-lighted. Jay Will, what do we see here?
I mean, just awkward movement right there. Same injury that Halliburton had earlier in the year that held him out for 10 games.
They say it's hamstring soreness. He would not return. And with that, Boston just kind of took over much more all night long, Jay, from Jaylen Brown. He was spectacular. Look at him here. Hey, he's heading the other way.
Boston just did it on the defensive end. And look, the reality is Tyrese Halliburton manages and manufactures so much of this team's offense. Without him on the floor, Jaylen Brown's going to have a field day.
40 points, 14 of 27 from the floor for Brown. Tatum added 23. White, as mentioned, 23. Celtics win game 2 going away, 126-110. They're up 2-0. The Boston Celtics have won 17 championships. They've had so many great teams over the years. But so far, this team is in the conversation for most dominant. Last night was their 6th win by 15 points in this postseason. That's tied for their most in franchise history. They also did it in 84, 86, and 2008. They won the title in all 3 of those seasons. I know. They didn't used to play as many rounds of playoffs back in the day, so Bill Russell's teams and others couldn't have that many. But the point remains, they've been playing this way for a half a century, and the Celtics are just racing rampage through the field. So, Brian Windhorst, I ask you the question I think everyone in America was asking when they saw Halliburton limp off the court last night and they saw the Celtics cruising. Does this thing feel absolutely over after 2 games?
Well, we're going to have to see. I'm sure Halliburton is going to have imaging done today to see the severity, whether that was a full re-injury or whether he could maybe come back later in the series. But this is an absolutely golden opportunity for the Celtics. After not having to face Jimmy Butler in the first round, after not having to face Jarrett Allen in the second round, Donovan Mitchell gets hurt in that series. This guy is the driver of the Pacers' high-tempo offense. Without Tyrese Halliburton, I just don't think the Pacers can compete in this series. And if that is indeed the case and he misses game 3 or 4 or even both, this is an opportunity for Boston to close this out, finish the series by Memorial Day, and potentially have 10 days off before the finals, where they will have home court and give Kristaps Porzingis all that extra time. This is a golden opportunity. They cannot let this pass.
Absolutely not. Monica, jump in here with us here. The Celtics, you play what's in front of you. You earn the seed that you earn the path that you earn the extra time by closing out your series if and when you can. The Celtics right now feel as though they have put this on cruise control after last night.
That was the version of the Celtics, Greeny, that we all talk about. Even though it was still a game to a degree in the third quarter, ultimately, this was a team that put the clamps on both sides of the ball, and you saw the ball popping offensively. Jaylen Brown leading the way with 40 points on a day when he doesn't get all NBA, right? I don't think it's a coincidence. But the level of focus that the Celtics play with, and I talked about this going into the series, the guards for the Celtics were going to put the Pacers guards in a tough spot. When you look at Nembhard trying to guard Brown, Derek White, Drew Holiday, Jason Tatum, all of these guys have size that the Pacers don't really have consistently at their defensive positions outside of Nesmith. And last night, I thought the Celtics played some of their best basketball as a collective on both sides.
Look, Renee, the reality is that this series is a chicken Caesar wrap it up. Wrap it up. Without Tyrese Halliburton playing on the court because he manufactures so many points for this team, even with the hamstring injury, just wrap it up. Wrap it up. And the reality is that for the Boston Celtics guys, look, it's like, how do you want it? How do you feel? Yeah, that's a Tupac line. Because they're getting every opportunity. Wendy just went through the list of the people, Butler not playing, Jarrett Allen not playing, Donovan Mitchell with the injury, now having Tyrese Halliburton with the injury, Porzingis, now you can give him time off to rest. If you can close this out by Memorial Day, 10 days to rest before the NBA Finals, No excuses anymore for the Boston Celtics. Everything is set up for them to win a world championship. Here it is on a silver platter.
Absolutely. For those of you who are at home who are wondering, can they move up the start of the NBA Finals? The answer is no. So the finals are going to start Thursday, June 6th, no matter what else happens. And if the Celtics do take care of business in Boston, and we're a long way away from that happening, but if the Celtics do win the next 2 games, that would be Saturday, Monday, they would have those 10 days.
Yeah, first of all, I'm hungry. Thank you for that.
Chicken Caesar. Of all the raps,
Wrap it up. I could have done better
wrap.
raps. You're fair.
No, that's a quality rap. I'm not knocking the rap.
Absolutely a great line. But look, like there's first of all, the Celtics, that's the one knock that we've had on them is the fact that they don't wrap it up.
Right.
That they do play with their food. Now I'm really hungry, but that's what they do. So they can't do those things. But can we also just look at the Pacers for a minute and what we saw in the fourth quarter? Yes, I know Halliburton left the game, but this is the Eastern Conference Finals. I mean, aren't you supposed to take this to the very end no matter what? Pascal Siakam didn't play in the last 9 minutes and 25 seconds of this game. I understand it was double figures, but we have seen in this year's playoffs, in fact, the Pacers have seen no lead is safe. We understand that Pascal Siakam played 31 minutes. He scored 28 points. He was unstoppable. 17 shots. He missed 4.
At least online, we're saying exactly that. As I was going through, a lot of the Pacer fans really frustrated by them waving the white flag in that fourth quarter. And so here's what Rick Carlisle said in explanation for why he left his starters, particularly Siakam, on the bench.
To look at some guys that I thought needed a look. McDermott went in there and played well. Isaiah Jackson brought a lot of fight to the game. Jalen Smith hasn't had much of an opportunity to play in the playoffs, and so, I wanted to see where he was at, and we weren't giving up, but it was an opportunity to get some energetic, fresh guys in there to fight. The guys that had played to that point, Pascal was very tired. Aaron had 4 fouls. He was tired. I mean, so that was it.
If I may. What the hell is he talking about? You're trying to see what some of these younger guys can bring, like this is a game in January.
Wait a minute.
Is game 2 on the road of the Eastern Conference Finals with, in many ways, your season hanging in the balance.
Doug McDermott's been in the league for like 10 years. We kind of know what he can bring.
We're trying to figure out what Doug McDermott is. What are we doing here?
I mean, you can't take or what he said verbatim. I mean, the reality is that with Pascal Siakam having 4 fouls, them coming off Game 7 against the Knicks, and I hear everybody saying go all in, but the reality, without Halliburton, I think it changed up a lot of the game plan that I think Rick Carlisle had. I'm not saying what he actually said is right, but the reason behind it, considering the way they have to defend home court, the minutes that these starters are going to have to log over the next 2 minutes to stay in the ball game. I hear what you're saying, Alan. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But
it's the playoffs. You know the Scott Van Pelt commercial?
This is a calculated risk by Rick Carlisle. This is a calculated risk.
So, Monica, you just lived through a series where everyone on this desk complained about Tom Thibodeau leaving his starters on the floor too long in all these games. I'm not sure what the Goldilocks formula is here. Is it too much or too little? What's exactly right? The point is that game didn't feel as over as it needed to, and to leave his best player, again, Halliburton, but his best player, Pascal Siakam, last night on the bench for basically the entire fourth quarter. A lot of people were very surprised by it.
Yeah, it was a little odd. It caught me off guard, but I'm sort of with Jay, and immediately I was like, okay, maybe strategy for the rest of the series? Like, that is the only logic that I could produce to justify this, especially because Pascal Siakam was really the only guy that can kind of generate for himself and others, right? I think Jaylen Brown said it took him by surprise post-game when he was asked about it. But series, what we have learned, if I go back to the Knicks series, game to game is a different entity, and momentum doesn't necessarily carry over. And I think all of us agree, if Tyrese Halliburton cannot go, that is a huge impact and will change the course of this series and put a lot more pressure on Siakam and company. So, sure, 8 minutes of rest, I guess. I'm not sure.
Windman, what'd you think?
Very flimsy explanation from Rick Carlisle, especially because Pascal Siakam was absolutely destroying Al Horford. It was their biggest advantage in the game. In the second quarter, after the Celtics went on a big run, I think it was like 17-18-0, Siakam got them back in the game by making 5 straight baskets. And all you need to know is how Joe Mazzulla handled this. Joe Mazzulla kept his starters in all the way to the end. He played Jason Tatum 42 minutes in this game because he knows that sometimes his team loses focus and botches games at home. So I'll just react to the way Mazzulla handled it, which was this game wasn't over.
You thought Doug McDermott played 12 minutes. He scored 2 points. He had a plus-minus of -3. Like, I don't.
We know what he is.
Yeah, I mean, Doug McDermott's been in the league since I was a kid. I don't even know what we're talking about here. Look, the bottom line of it is, Rick Carlisle is a great coach. Not a good coach, he's a great coach. He's taken this team farther than most coaches probably would have. He's going to wind up in the Hall of Fame someday. But they gave away game 1, and last night he kind of waved the white flag on game 2. And that is a very strange way for the first 2 games of this series to have gone.
It's the playoffs. You apply pressure. You always do. Even down double figures. You apply pressure and just see what happens. You keep fighting because you never know. I also feel like even in blowouts, you can see something. You can find something. And there's the idea of take a piece out of them as well going into the next game. They did none of that. They made it easy for the Celtics, and it's incredible. This has been the Boston Invitational. Everybody just seems to be making it easy for Boston to just walk their way to the NBA Finals, and this game felt like that in the last 5 minutes. I was watching with no rooting interest, and I just kept saying, where's Siakam? Where is he? Where is he? Get him back in the game.
Well,
Never did.
Look, the reality is that the 2 people that can actually manufacture points off pick and rolls and mismatches, which is how Boston plays, are Pascal Siakam and Tyrese Haliburton. With Haliburton not on the court, that puts all the pressure on Pascal to do everything all the time, 24/7, 365. That inevitably is going to be why they're not going to win this series.
No rest for the weary. Again, they play game 3 tomorrow night, a must-win for the Pacers.